And our attendees should be entering the Zoom. It looks like everyone in our waiting room is here. I'll go ahead and turn it on.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for attending this afternoon's program. We are super excited about celebrating the International Year of the Woman Farmer. So we're excited to get started. A little bit of information before we get started with our speaker, technical stuff. Corey, Wave Corey. She is our technical support. Her information is in the chat. So if you need something, make sure you get a picture of, take a screenshot or take a picture of your screen so that you have that information in case you need some technical assistance. We will mute your mics once our speaker gets started so that we can minimize background noise. If you have questions, please ask. It's very plausible that somebody else has the same question, so ask for that clarification. Again, you can type it in the chat, click the raise hand button, or you can unmute and ask us. Want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors. Our diamond level sponsor is BI this year. Pearl level sponsorship includes Mo Pork Association, the Missouri Beef Industry Council, and Missouri Farmers Care. At the Pixel level, we have FCS Financial, Callaway County Farm Bureau, and Callaway Soil and Water Conservation District. So thank you for your sponsorship. We couldn't make these educational programs possible without their support. We also couldn't do it without our committee. This is definitely a group effort. We are definitely a team that makes this happen. And just remember, you inspire and empower in everything that you do. And I thank you for your commitment to this program as committee members. So today, we are going to have a wonderful speaker. I am absolutely honored, and it's a true privilege to introduce our speaker, Carrie Portell. Carrie Portell is a resilient force in the agricultural world, has overcome adversity to become a successful cattle farmer, author, and national speaker. Despite the physical limitations imposed by a serious car crash, Carrie has persevered, transforming her challenges into opportunities. Her inspiring story and practical advice empower farmers and ranchers to embrace innovation, adapt to change, and find strength in the face of adversity. Agriculture is tough, but remember, so are you. And so with that, Carrie, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing and you can start.
Excellent.
And I will let you I wanted to make sure that we had plenty of time. So I sped through that.
All right, ladies, I am so happy to be here. Pearls has been a huge conference that basically changed the trajectory of my life. So I am always excited to come back and not just only participate myself, but be able to help everybody else who, might be having some difficulty being a woman farmer. So you guys know that this year is the International Year of the Woman Farmer. So that's kind of what we're hitting on a little bit today. I'm going to weave that in and out of my normal presentation. So I will go ahead and start sharing my screen here. All right. And does that look okay? You see just all right, awesome. Okay, so International Year of the Woman Farmer. So I was a farmer before my car crash happened. So I am a partially disabled woman farmer. We do have a cattle farm and we have a couple of handfuls of sheep, horses, all the things. When my car crash happened, I thought that I was already in that mode of thinking very creatively of how to accomplish the same things that my husband was accomplishing on the farm, because I did have to, think as a woman. So I didn't have the natural, strength and stature as my husband. But what happened was I could not get my mind to think with my new body. It was still thinking with my old body. And that's where the Pearls Conference came in. So 4 years after my car crash, I was having a, significant difficulty trying to figure out how am I going to continue to work on the farm. I had tried and failed several times to go back to a normal job, and it just wasn't going to work. So farming is what we had. So that is where the Pearls Conference came in. I think somebody had actually sent me the information on the conference in an email and said, hey, I think this might be good for you to go to. And boy, did they hit me at exactly the right moment, because I was struggling mentally and physically, thinking there's nobody out there like me. Not only am I a woman, but I'm a partially disabled woman. And they said, just go to get out. Just go to get out of your house. Because I basically hadn't left my house in 4 years to do anything for myself. It's just doctor's appointments and things like that. So when I came to Pearls, I realized, holy cow, there are a lot of women out there who are still farming. And 2014, we were really starting to get into social media, but it wasn't like it is today. So let me pull up here real quick. So I wanted to share, I don't share hardly any statistics in my presentations, but I did want to share that according to the most recent census of agriculture, women make up more than 1/3 of all U.S. farm operators and are increasingly leading in farm management, agribusiness, research, and advocacy. Now, you and I know that women have always played a role in the farm. We just weren't talked about. Like, we weren't the main person. It was always, the 50 to 60-year-old white farmer. That's who everybody saw as the farmer. We know that we've always had that role. And it's just, we become more vocal. Thank goodness for us, right? So women play a really vital role in the American agriculture, and we contribute through production, advocacy. We're doing a lot of education online. I love seeing that. And also entrepreneurship. So we're diversifying the farm from what our ancestors have traditionally used as the farm. But one thing that we really do that I think makes us very special is that we really, while doing all this, we strengthen our rural communities through our leadership and our outreach. So, I mean, kudos. We're not just the farm wife anymore, where people are realizing, hey, we do a lot of stuff. So I do want to share with you a little bit how I have become partially disabled, so you can see where I started at, because I started out in a really fundamental place where I was laying in a hospital bed in the middle of my living room for months before I even got to try to move over to a wheelchair. So this is a picture of myself when I was in Barnes Hospital. It's 2 days after I had been there. And apparently I'd already had 2 surgeries. And you guys, I cannot elicit a single memory from anything of those first couple of days. So what you see here are external fixators. And the reason I had to have those is that my lower legs and my ankles were crushed so severely that my legs couldn't hold their shape anymore. So it was kind of like my surgeon said, it was like a jigsaw puzzle. And so there was no form to my legs. So what they do is they kind of put your bones back together and then put these external fixators in so that your legs don't shorten up. Now, I'm going to tell you, when I opened my eyes and I looked down and I saw these legs, I thought, whoa, that looks really bad. And I had a decision, ladies, that I had to make in that exact moment. What am I going to do? How am I going to handle this situation that was not my fault? So 2 of my children and I were hit by a drunk driver. It was a severe car crash. It was a 4-car pileup, and it was fatal. So it was pretty much just the impaired driver and myself and my 2 children that had the most impact and the injuries. But it was primarily me and my car. So my children were able to heal in about 6 weeks. And for me, I spent the next 4 years just having one reconstructive surgery after another. And my goal was, hey, I want to be able to walk. I didn't know how well, but I was going to try to get back to as best as I possibly could to my old self. And I did. I had no idea that was never going to happen and how difficult it was going to be. So this is a picture of my car, just to give you an idea of just how severely we were hit. So we had 2 points of impact where I was actually the second vehicle in line in a row of 3. So there was 3 of us that were heading towards the impaired driver, and I was the second one in line. But there was a truck and a trailer that was in front of me. And that impaired driver skidded down the side of that truck and flatbed trailer. And when he came off the end of that trailer, he kind of whipped around and hit head on, but on my side, the driver's side, thank goodness. And because of that weird impact, it then flipped him around where he had a second impact into the side of my door. And you can see like everything is just absolutely mangled and demolished. And I was stuck. I was trapped in there. It took him nearly an hour to be able to get me out. Of course, by looking at this, you know, they had to use the jaws of life and cut things away. But it was a very intricate process because pieces of my car had actually embedded itself into my lower legs. So, you know, being able to try to see what's going on in this confined space, but then also, you know, trying to pull those pieces out, it was just very tedious and intricate for them, you know, to try to get me out of there. But they got the girls out first, and we're fortunate that, you know, they were able to go into the ambulance right away. But I was stuck there with a whole team around me, just, I mean, absolutely encouraging me, you know, to, you know, please stay awake, Carrie, you're going to be okay. We're going to get you out. And I hung on to that for dear life. So it was a 4-car pileup, and the impaired driver actually perished on impact. And he was the only one who was not wearing his seatbelt out of all 4 of those vehicles. And it's a very important point that I always like to bring up, because as farmers, we are always traveling, usually from one farm to the next, or like our farm is a rectangle along our gravel road. So we have 4 gates that lead into our farm. So we are traveling out onto that gravel road, and people don't think about, oh, maybe I should put my seatbelt on. I mean, we just don't think about it, because when you're out in the field, a lot of times we're getting in and out and in and out. Well, how many farm accidents have you heard of where they're on the highway, a driver's not paying attention, and had they been wearing their seatbelt, maybe they wouldn't have gotten thrown off of, you know, the tractor that doesn't have a cab, or, you know, in my case, we do have a cab on our tractor. We would be bouncing around like a ping pong ball in that tractor cab had we not put our seatbelt on. So I always like to reiterate, just put it on. I mean, it's so simple and it's so easy to just go ahead and put it on. So another thing that I really like to bring up is the impaired driver's blood alcohol level was 0.265, which is 3.5 times the legal limit. And I know in our little small communities, a lot of times when we're out there, people are not putting just, you know, water and soda in their cooler. It becomes of like our area. We don't do a lot of crop farming because we live in the Ozarks. It's nothing but rocks. If we didn't raise livestock, we would basically raise rocks, is what I tell people. It's a joke, but yet I'm serious. So the only thing that we do grow around here is hay. So it's a common practice for people to joke about how much they drank while they were baling their hay. And again, you're driving a motorized vehicle that can be used as a weapon. So those 2 things I know they were detrimental in my car crash, but they can pull over to agriculture. And I just like to raise awareness for that, because it is such a big issue within our rural communities, the amount of alcohol that, you know, people do consume. So talking about my injuries, of course, looking at that car, I had so many injuries, but the 3 worst. We might need to have somebody mute. The 3 worst injuries, the ones that give me my partial disabilities today, are my pelvis and both of my lower legs and ankles. So to date, I have had 13 reconstructive surgeries. I've had 5 on my pelvis, and then, 3 on my pelvis and 5 on each of my lower legs and ankles. And it's all reconstructive to try to get them to stay in one piece, get me back to where my legs can actually hold the pressure of my own weight. And that is what took so long for me to be able to I guess, be released, saying, hey, we've done about all we can do. And that took about 4 years. So many surgeries. At this point, I've had all of the metal taken out of my lower legs because it did start to shift. And the metal in my pelvis, we removed the metal in my pubic bone once, and my pelvis apparently did not heal the way it was supposed to. So we put it back in, and it's going to stay exactly the way that you see it now. So I do have those 2 big bolts that are in the back left of my hip, and a plate and 6 screws in my pubic bone. And then everything except for the thread of 1 screw is out of my lower legs. But you can see now why I am partially disabled and why I have so much trouble being able to walk. So at this point, I can take about 1,800 steps a day, and that's it. My legs stop working. Now, I have pushed it further, of course, but boy, do I pay for it. So when people see me in my wheelchairs, it's very confusing to them because, they maybe see me in the grocery store going down a few aisles in the morning, and I look like I'm walking just fine. And then later on in the evening, maybe I have to attend an event. I'm in my wheelchair, and they're like, wait a minute, I just saw you. And I'm like, I know, believe me, it was confusing for me in the beginning. Now it's just what I have to do. It's an up and down type of activity all day. And that's because I'm not paralyzed. It just becomes so painful for me to be able to bear my own weight that I have to sit and I have to use my wheelchair. So it's a double-edged sword. My wheelchair does give me some independence. Also, I hate that I can't use my own legs all the time. So I do want to show you, there's a short video the night of my car crash. One of the firemen was wearing a helmet camera, and this was back at the end of 2010, and we weren't recording hardly anything at that time. And I remember asking the emergency crew, I said, it's weird. Like, it just seems kind of morbid, at this day and age to record something like that. And I asked them, why did you record? And we live along I-44, and we have tons and tons of car crashes. And they said, Carrie, we've got to figure out a way to teach other, emergency workers and even other crews, how to get people like you out of a car like that. Like, it was a big process to be able to do that. So they decided that they were going to go ahead and start recording, these instances. And when I decided to become a speaker, I thought, holy cow, that really worked out to my benefit that they had a camera that night, because now I can show people in real scenarios just how important it is to wear your seatbelt, to have your phone down, and just to be paying attention. And all of those things, ladies, it saved my family's life. If we had not been paying attention, wearing our seatbelts, and had the airbags that we had, we definitely would not be here today. So there's nothing gory or anything on here, but I do have people that have a difficult time just because they are going through situations in their own life. So if you don't like the video, you can mute or just look away for a couple minutes. But if you will come back, that will be the worst of the video. So I'm going to go ahead and show this to you. It'll be just a couple minutes.
Be by your side, I'll take your hand. When it gets cold, feels like the end.
Gary? You all right? Okay, we're gonna get you out. Hang it down.
far away. Wish you were here, for it's too late. This could all be done. For the door's closed and it comes to an end. With you by my side, I will fight the devil.
Hang on, hang on. Okay, we're good. Okay.
That video never gets easier for me to be able to watch and listen to. I usually don't watch it very much, but I am not a what if person. And I had so many people come to me and say, Mary, what if you wouldn't have taken that direction, you know, drive that direction that night? What if you would have been driving, you know, your dually instead of the car? And for me, that just didn't make any sense, because what if is nothing I can do about it. It was in the past. I can't change decisions that I made that night. But I really got to thinking about it years later, and I thought, well, what if we use what if, but about the future? So what if we make sure we do put our seatbelt on every single time? What if, you know, everybody else in our vehicle, we make them put their seatbelt on? And what if I choose a positive attitude every day, even though things are really, really hard right now? So that's how I like to use what if, you know, instead of in the past. And when I went to Pearls, I had to ask myself that question, you know, what if this could do something for me? And you just change the way that I'm feeling right now, because that's the part that I was really struggling with, is what am I going to do with my life? If I can't figure out a way to farm, I didn't feel like I had anything, because I had tried to go back to a normal job and the pain level was just so severe that I couldn't do it for hours, you know, 8 hours a day. And I even tried part-time, like, this just isn't working. And, you know, people are like, but farming is so physical. How do you do that? And the way that I can do that is I spread it out all throughout the day. I absolutely had to have the help from the organizations that Pearls introduced me to, and that was Missouri Agri-Ability and Missouri Vocational Rehab. And I was so fortunate that I sat beside an extension rep that day, and her name is Regan, and I will always applaud her for reaching out and asking me a couple questions, and then, you know, saying, Harry, I've got an organization that can help you. And that's who introduced me to Missouri Agri-Ability. And I would be nowhere without Agri-Ability and VR right now, because they helped me get to a point where I could start working on the farm again. And I needed their knowledge. You know, they do this for a living, and they are so passionate about helping people like me being able to continue on the farm. So not only was I a woman, now I'm a disabled woman, and how am I going to be able to continue doing this? And, you know, my husband's like, you don't have to, but I'm like, I want to. You know, I have to have something besides doing laundry for a family of 6. It wasn't doing it for me. So one of the very first things that AgriAbility did for me, because we were backgrounding a lot of heifers at that time, was say, you know, we've got to figure out, one, to decrease the amount of steps that you use every day and the amount of energy, because I only have so much of either of those. Those are the two things that I struggle with the most. Is I don't have enough steps and I don't have energy because I'm always fighting pain. And they said, what you need is a UTV and you need a cake feeder on the back. And it literally was my godsend. So what we did was we installed a power switch on the dash of our Ranger, Polaris Ranger, that opened and closed that cake feeder so that I could go and pour out whatever I needed into each bunk feeder. And then I just drove on to the next one. And guess what? I didn't use any steps and I used hardly any energy. And my AgriAbility rep, Karen, is on today. And I remember, I can't remember if I emailed or called her, but I said, you would not believe how I feel. That always gets me, sorry. Because the amount of stress and anxiety and just disappointment that I had not being able to do anything, and then just feeling so terrible at the end of each day, having just this one thing, I said, my God, I feel like a human being again. I actually got to go out to the farm and accomplish something. And I felt so good. I could actually go to my son's ball game that night, walk into the gym because I didn't abuse myself, by using too many steps. And I got to sit in my comfort level. And it was absolutely amazing. And also practice rotational grazing. And if anybody practices rotational grazing, you know that the livestock really gets used to moving every 2 or 3 days on the farm. And I said, I can't get into the paddock to open, the gap before they're trying to run past me. And I said, this is definitely not safe for me. And she said, again, I got you. So the second picture there is, it's these poles that attach to your end post, and they have these rubber tips on the ends of them. So I could actually just run through there with the Ranger or the truck or even the tractor, and none of the cows would get out if I am checking, just checking on them, or, checking for calves, that kind of thing. But what happens is they have these electric wire that is hanging down on them, so the cows can feel that vibration from that electricity and they won't push through them themselves. So again, I got to be safe and actually be able to move the cows. And these pair of mechanic gloves, it was hay season, and right after hay season became brush hogging. And I remember telling Karen, I said, I feel so terrible. I have to get out like every 1.5 to 2 hours, and I have to stretch my body. And a lot of times I just can't go back the next day to the field to be, to be able to help out. And she said, I've got you again. She said, these mechanics gloves are vibration/shock absorbing gloves. And she said, Carrie, you don't understand that when you're in a tractor, you're holding on to that steering wheel and the whole tractor is vibrating. Well, that vibration is coming up through your steering column. You're holding onto the steering wheel. It's vibrating through your arms, traveling, through your body, through the floorboard of your tractor, and then back up to the steering column again. And, she said, use these and do it from start to finish. That is key. Try to use them from the very beginning and see how you do. And I remember thinking, I don't know what a $30 pair of gloves is going to do for me, but this woman has been doing everything for me and I'm going to give them a try. And again, I remember telling her, you're not going to believe how good I felt after wearing these gloves. And I actually could go back the next day and continue doing that. So these, I should become an affiliate for these mechanics gloves, because every time that I share these at every conference that I speak at, people are like, where do we get those? Where do we get this? And the first picture here is the last item that I received. And I was really having a lot of difficulty on the farm getting from, one place to the other using my regular wheelchair. It's just, it's not all terrain. It's a normal wheelchair that is used for flat surfaces like concrete. And Life Lifts made this apparatus. I call it my farm scooter or my farm wheelchair. And unfortunately, they can't make it anymore due to supply chain issues. But when we are working cows, I would always work the chute. Well, I cannot stand for a long period of time. And she said, this seat moves up and down, it swivels. I could sit there at the chute, I can raise and lower to open and close the head chute. And then also it has lawnmower tires on it. So I used it like it was 4-wheel drive. I mean, it got me everywhere. I was able to go up to the mailbox. I was able to go to the barn. I'm able to use it around the garden, my flower beds. I still use it to this day, and I pray that it never dies, because I don't know what I'm going to do if it does, because I use this thing every day and it saves my legs, but I'm still able to get out there and be physical and do the activities that I enjoy doing, that I don't feel like I can live without. So those are 4 very big, like, physical products that I was able to receive through Agribility, that they had recommended through me, that have made my life absolutely better on the farm and makes me capable as a partially disabled woman farmer. Now, I do also help a lot on the mental health side, and AgriSafe had actually found me online because I was talking about the mental health struggles and what farming did for my mental health. And boy, my God, did it do so much for me, ladies. I don't even know how to express how much it did for my mental health, to be able to get back out there and be able to have a purpose in life, that I felt like I was contributing to the farm and to my family. And then I didn't realize how much I needed to have accomplishments. And that was one of the biggest things for me, was I actually got to do this again. And I don't know how to not be physical. I still have not been able to figure that out. And I know that there will be a time that I will be full-time wheelchair, but right now I am doing absolutely everything that my physicians and my physical therapists have told me to do to keep myself walking on a part-time basis. So research does find that farm women experience a lot higher stress in regards to males when it comes to the farm operations, physical, social, financial well-being of all the family members. But in addition to the farm duties, women have traditionally been responsible for all of the household tasks, the childcare, running the farm errands. If you're a crop farmer, a lot of women are running meals out to the ones who are in the combines, during those, 16 to 22 hour shifts sometimes, during harvest. But what we're not doing is taking care of ourselves. We're not asking ourselves, what do we need? And it's also been proven during research that we're not actually receiving the same from our spouses or our other family members. We are, we're on the back burner. So since farming has become less profitable, a lot of us have had to take on that 3rd shift, which means we got to take a job in town so that the family can have insurance. And that's a lot of where the women's stress comes from, is we're trying to do all the things and wear all the hats, which, we've heard that a million times. And I know that most of you have probably felt that as well. So we have a lot of stress, we have a lot of fatigue, but research also finds that women traditionally support our husbands. We're always asking, how are you doing? And their overall well-being. We're the ones who take care of them, but we're not being supported in return. So that's where it comes in. Pearls of Production this year has really made it about the woman farmer and supporting each other. And that's where we need to come in. So I want to promote the AgriStress helpline. So we are trying to get that as a national line. There are a lot of crisis lines out there. And the reason that I like the AgriStress helpline is that I have personally curated resources for each of the states that we do have the line in right now, because a lot of farmers, it's not just like normal depression that you have. You're not just having the normal stress. There is a reason that farmers do have a high level of stress and anxiety and honestly a lot of suicide rates. It's a high suicide rate. So 988 are the operators that answer the AgriStress helpline, but they have been trained in a program called Farm Response so that when the farmer calls, they don't have to spend the first 30 minutes explaining why farming or agriculture is so anxiety or frustration driven. That operator is already going to understand. And one of the things that we don't realize is that, a lot of times, we're great farmers, but boy, are we terrible business people. Like, we don't understand accounting. We don't understand profit and loss sheets. We don't understand taxes, or, maybe there's been a natural disaster and we don't understand where to get help. So the reason that the farmer is having such alarming rates of distress is because they don't have the resources to help themselves. And that's where we come in and say, you know what, I understand what your problem is. Let me get you some help. And then therefore the distress of the farmer does come down. And that's what we really want to do. And that's been my goal the entire time that I have really started to share on social media is, one, you can farm as a woman, you can farm as a disabled farmer, but the pandemic really helped the stress in agriculture come to the front line and say, you know what, these farm accidents that we realize are not really farm accidents, in the past, we've got to get help for these farmers. And I'm telling you, I know farming is frustrating, but for me, I saw the benefit of farming through my mental health. And, getting help from AgriAbility and VR, it helped that stress of, can't I do this? I can't figure out how to do this with my new body, but I know that there is a way that we can do it. So I want to bring us together, as we're starting to wrap up here, that every time that we work together, every time that we stand up for ourselves, we're standing up for all women. So I have really seen that on social media as a double-edged sword, as social media can be. If we combine our efforts and continue to educate, continue to advocate, and get out there and say, we can talk about these things, or, there's a teenager, there's a woman in her 20s that says, this is what I want to do. We can come together and say, there's a way that you can do this, a way that you can farm or garden or do whatever you want, some part in agriculture. We're going to be here. We're going to support you. We're going to share our resources. And I love the tagline that Pearls is using this year. It's, we are more powerful when we empower each other. Don't be stingy with your resources. Don't be stingy with your knowledge. Get out there and share everything that you can possibly share, because if you haven't realized yet, there is a labor crisis in agriculture. We do not have enough people producing their own food. We do not have enough people producing food for everybody who doesn't have that capacity. And if we wait until we feel the pain of that, it is going to be too late. And I get so passionate about so many things in agriculture, and this is one of them. The small farmer is not going to be there anymore, because, I have a 330 acre farm, but in our area, that's a big farm. But in many other areas, that is considered a hobby farm. Like, I'm just a hobby farmer with my 65 cows. But anybody can be a part of agriculture. Even if you just have an acre in your backyard, we can start somewhere, and we can start producing the food that we need to be able to survive. And if we don't do that pretty quickly, we're not going to have the chance to continue doing that. It's going to be commercial farms. We are going to have so many regulations that we won't be able to farm on our own anymore. It's crazy. I just saw a social media post where, and I can't remember what state it was in, but they had a very large garden in their subdivision in an urban area. And a drone was sent over their yard, and they then were taxed on that. They had to get a special permit. They were taxed. They're actually being taken to court right now because of that. And I think that is absolute insanity to me. Like, I can't even fathom that you cannot in certain places have your own garden anymore without going through all of the paperwork to have that. That is, I'm just flabbergasted by it. So we really need to stand up, and we need to stand up for everyone and change what is happening in agriculture. And women are powerful. And if you don't think you're powerful, let me get you pulled to the side, and I will just tell you how powerful you are. So I do want to finish up. I have a little video that I want to share that is, I promise you, much better than the first one. But what it is a plethora of pictures that I have put together. Each picture has a story behind it, and it's one of an accomplishment, one that my surgeon said, you know, Carrie, you're probably never going to be able to do these activities anymore, but through the help of AgriAbility, VR, anyone who would be willing to talk to me and give me advice, I have been able to accomplish a lot. I would say most of the activities that I want to accomplish through using their knowledge, using equipment to be able to get myself there. But there are these other pictures that I'm going to get you in the feels. It's an emotional thing. Is, you guys, I was at such a fundamental place whenever I was like started to recover, I guess. And for years, because I never just got to move forward, because I was having so many reconstructive surgeries that I needed to feel the gratitude of just being alive. And I remember the first time that I wheeled out onto my front porch, like winter lasted forever that year. It was well into April before it was even comfortable being outside. And I remember the sun hit my face, and I had a meltdown. I started bawling, and I could not believe how grateful I felt to feel the warmth of the sun, because I didn't know if I would ever be able to feel it again. And the first time that I was able to go out and check cows, I felt that warm breeze on me because I had the window down. And I just sat there, and I could not believe the depth of my gratitude. I had never felt so deeply in my entire life that I was so grateful just to be alive and feel those just trivial things, because, you know, we're so busy every single day that we don't pay attention to the warm breeze. You know, we shield our eyes from the sun. We don't look out onto our farm and just appreciate the work that we have put into it, how much better it looks. And then on a bigger scale, we can say, my gosh, I am providing food for this world. You know, we have beef cattle. So yeah, we know we're providing a quality product for the rest of the world, and just to take satisfaction in that. And that is something that I have had to consciously stop myself, slow down, and say, remember, Carrie, you be grateful what you have, because there was a time that it was nearly stolen from you. And there are many days that when I have my flare-ups and my pain is so bad that I cannot walk, or honestly, there's days that I can barely get out of bed, that I don't get to feel that sun. I don't get to look out and see my cows, because on those days I am existing, just trying to survive through that day so that I can get to a better day. So that's something that I really want to make sure that I point out to you ladies is, take the time, take the dang time. I know you've got a million things to do, but sit there and go, man, I did a really good job today. Or, man, I am pretty proud of myself. Like, it's okay to pat yourself on the back every once in a while and say, I worked really hard today and I have accomplished really great things. So this video, I chose Miley Cyrus as my song. I've never changed it so far, because she sings about climbing this mountain. And that's what I always told to my husband. I said, I feel like I'm just climbing this mountain, and my peak is that I get to walk, and I get to walk by myself, you know, unassisted, no wheelchair, no walker, no cane, anything like that. So I do hope that you enjoy this video. Oops.
I'll see it That dream I'm dreaming, but there's a voice inside my head saying, you'll never reach it. Every step I'm taking, every move I make feels lost with no direction. My faith is shaking, but I gotta keep trying. Gotta keep my head held high. There's always gonna be another mountain. I'm always gonna make it move. Always gonna be an uphill battle. Sometimes I have to. It's like it. And the battle is waiting on the other side. If I'm facing the chances I'm taking, sometimes I'm not being down, but no, I'm not breaking. I know it. These are the moments that I'm gonna remember most. Just gotta keep going, and I gotta breathe. See, pushing. Always gonna be another. Always gonna wanna make it you. Always gonna be an uphill battle. I'm always gonna wanna make it move. You know, each time that I watch that video, those images, there's two different feelings in there because I was in so much pain, even doing all of that stuff. But the feeling that it gave me was worth all the pain that I went through to continue to try to farm, because what it did for my spirit helped me continue to push forward and to push and get better and just keep fighting, because there were days I thought, I'm not going to make it. Like, I'm just not going to make it. And I leave this, is a poem. I leave this up here, and I was a big quote person during my recovery, and I would just recite quotes over and over and over again, trying to make myself believe them and motivate myself. But I remember telling my husband, I feel like I'm in this tornado and I just want it to stop. You know, am I going to walk again or am I not? Am I ever going to feel again, feel okay again? Or is it always going to feel like this heavy and this much turmoil inside of me? And this says, and once the storm is over, you won't remember how you made it through, which I definitely feel today. I don't know how I made it through that. You won't even know how you managed to survive, and you won't be sure the storm is really over. But one thing is certain, when you come out of the storm, you won't be the same person who walked in. And that is what the storm is all about. And I have a lot of people who have asked me, you know, I'm sure you wish this never would have happened. And I'm like, well, of course, but ladies, I can't take this situation back. As awful and as horrible and painful and
life destroying as it has been, I would never take it back, because the lessons that I've learned have formed me into a person that I am today. And I love who I am today and who it has made me. I am so sorry. I get so emotional. I will go ahead and stop sharing here and get back with you. But I can never figure out how to show my image whenever I present full screen. So I apologize that you couldn't see me, but I get so emotional because I'm just so passionate about all of this, and, you know, motivating you to continue moving forward, and you can do it. Don't let anybody tell that you can't do it. And if you ever need a pick me up, this group right here, contact any of us and we will pick you up and say, don't listen to those naysayers. We're here for you, and we will continue to empower each other. So I don't know if we have time for questions, or if that's something that you want to do. You guys just, Corey and Heather, you guys let me know. But yeah, if you want to, I guess, feel free to unmute or put it in the chat maybe. I'll let you guys decide.
Yeah, so if you have a quick question, we do have some time for that. You can either put it in the chat or just raise your hand or unmute yourself. I did want to throw up the QR code and a link. The link will also be, I think, put into the chat here shortly. Just some feedback on today's program. It won't take you very long, but while we're doing questions, I wanted to throw that up there so that we had a chance to get that as well. It looks like we have a note in the chat. Carrie, thank you for sharing your story and messages of possibility and encouragement. I'd like to hear your thoughts on how people can be supportive of those who have disabilities, both in terms of actions and words to help maintain dignity and independence of disabled individuals without coming across as uncaring, unhelpful. What's helpful? What's not helpful?
Yeah, that's a great question, because you know, I've had a lot of comments of people saying, man, disabled people or people in wheelchairs, they're just so cranky all the time. And a lot of that comes, it comes from exactly what Amy is talking about, is people, they don't know what to do. So they treat you differently. They treat you like you are incapable of doing certain things. It's very hard when you go from a perfectly able-bodied person to then be able to have to ask for help all the time. And that's our problem. Like, we have to work through that. It's just really difficult to be able to work through it. I know that there has been some people, I actually made a video about this. I think it was like 5 things never to say to a partially or handicapped person. And one of them, and I've had this said to me so many times, oh, you don't look like you feel well today. I'm like, no, I don't. I looked in the mirror before I came, and I know how I look. Thank you for, you know, saying that out loud. It just makes you feel all that more worse. So when you see somebody not looking their best, just know that they already know that. But, you know, and I had somebody else say, well, why did you get out if you feel so bad? Well, sometimes it is like getting out actually does help you mentally, and you need something, because if you're always in your home 24/7, boy, it's isolating. And, you know, working on the farm is already isolating enough, but sometimes getting out, you know, say it's for like a birthday party or some kind of, you know, nice function, it helps you up here. So that's why we continue to try to get out and do things. But I have a lot of people who come up and just automatically grab my wheelchair from the back, and I don't know that it's happening. And it like all of a sudden your chest constricts, because you don't know if you're toppling backwards, if you're going to be toppled out. So one of the biggest things that I really need to stress is, don't just come up and grab somebody's wheelchair. Come to them and say, may I help you? Or do you need help going up this ramp? Because, you guys, not all ramps are ADA, what do you call, compliant. Yeah, so there's some really steep ramps out there, and I'm at the point now where I can turn around and ask for help. Hey, can you help me? This is really, really, difficult to get up there. But don't just go up and grab somebody's wheelchair and say, "I'll help you." Make sure you stop and ask them first, because it's a scary thing to be tipped backwards. Like if you're going to be tipped up over a curb and you don't know that it's actually happening. So that's a really big thing. But there's a lot of you don't necessarily have to be disabled. You can have any kind of physical challenge. So, you're an elderly farmer. You're going to need help. So if you see that that's happening, or if it's your neighbor, say, is there anything that I can do to help you this evening? Maybe there's a storm coming in. Hey, can I help you get this done, the feeding done or whatever, before the storm comes? Things like that. So that it doesn't make them feel that, hey, I'm only helping you because you are physically challenged. Farmers have a really big pride anyway, so they have a hard time accepting help. And gosh darn, most of them are not going to ask for it in the first place. Mm-hmm. So I hate to say that you need to tiptoe around certain people, but if you can think of how to word it differently so that it's not so confrontational, or, hey, you can't do this. That's what they're hearing is, I can't do this. They're thinking they have to do it for me. I'm not an invalid. And I know that those things go through people's mind. Word it in a way, or find a situation that you can do it in a different way for it, so it's not so confrontational, like more of an indirect kind of conversation. That's what I would say would help mentally with that person who is having, physical challenges, especially because it's an acceptance period as well, whether you're disabled or you're just aging. Our farming population right now is mostly made up of 56 to 65-year-olds. So the capabilities are swing from left to right in that area. You could be perfectly fine, or you can, have a lot of physical challenges. But yeah, I would say that that's probably the biggest thing, is just word it in a way, or ask.
Yeah, thank you. Another from the chat: you were our first speaker at Women in Ag at the White Mule. I will never forget your story that you told that night. You could hear a pin drop. It has been one of the most powerful messages straight from your heart. Thank you for sharing your story. From another one. And then, what a beautiful outcome of what could have taken your life. Your family and friends have to be so proud. You have proven that resilience and determination are possible in the face of such tragedy. Thank you for sharing your story. It is powerful. Another thank you. That was inspirational and applicable in my life. I didn't make it through without crying either. So you are not alone. I got a little teared up as well, for sure. Yeah, for sure.
You'd think 15 years later that I would have control of it, and I have gotten so much better control over it. But man, when you start talking about details, it puts you right back there, and you're living in that moment again. So I really appreciate you guys, hanging in there with me, because it always hits me at the oddest times. Like, there's been times where I'm like, I have never cried there before, ever. And then it happens to hit me. But I appreciate the woman who talked about the White Mule one, because that was my very first Women in Ag event ever that I got to talk to in person. And it was in my hometown. It was close. So I was extra nervous, on top of that. And I had the best crowd. I mean, you talk about supportive. I couldn't have done it had that crowd, not been that way. But it has definitely gone down in my book as one of my best experiences, because it was so connecting. Like, we were connected that night, even though I was like, the anxiety level was up here for me, because I wanted to do such a perfect job for those ladies, especially since I knew most of them. And they supported me wonderful. But yeah, I've gotten a little bit better since then. Thank you for all your wonderful comments. I do try to inspire and motivate women. So I hate that I have to talk about myself to do it, but to show where I came from and where I am now, I think is a good visual for everybody to understand.
Yeah, I agree. Well, thank you again, Carrie. it really is an inspirational story, and it just makes you, it just hits home. It does. It really does. And I thank you for that story. If you have not signed up for the in-person Pearls of Production, if you are here close by, Carrie is going to be there on next Saturday. So we're going to have some breakfast with her, and then she plans to stay for the conference as well. So make plans to attend if you can. Also wanted to bring up our upcoming sessions for the International Year of the Woman Farmer. March 25th, April 22nd, May 27th, and June 24th. We also have July scheduled, August, September, and I'm finalizing October and November. So we are hopefully going to have a full calendar finalized here before long. But these sessions here are up online, are open for registrations. These will be at noon on Central Standard Time on those Wednesdays, kind of a lunch and learn, middle of the week, pick me up, inspire you to finish the week off really well. And so be sure to register for those. And then again, our in-person conference coming up next Saturday. Again, Carrie will be there. So make sure that you make plans to attend if you can. Make sure to keep in touch. Facebook page, that's really where we'll have all of our announcements coming up with all of our speakers for the next year or for the rest of the year. We have a website that you can stay up to date on as well. Email us. We're happy to help in any way that we can. And then kind of going on with that same kind of note about mental health and how agriculture is kind of, we're by ourselves a lot. Make sure that you do check on your neighbor, family, child, friend, even if it's just a quick text saying, hey, just checking in on you. Do you need anything? Hope you have a great day. I mean, it doesn't have to be a big time, crunch time thing. Just send a note. Just send a note and see how they're doing. Okay, let's see. Anything else on the chat? You have been the best presenter we have had. I think that goes back to the Women in Ag event earlier. Thank you, Carrie. You are a true inspiration. Oh, and that's you saying thank you so much to the ladies. Yes. So again, Corey has put in the chat the links to our website, and it's got all of the registration links for the upcoming International Year of the Celebration webinar series, as well as our in-person conference next weekend. So again, thank you so much, Carrie. Thank you for taking your time and sharing your story. And I look forward to seeing you. I haven't seen you in quite a while, so
I know. I'm so excited to be in person with you ladies.
Yeah, I'm super excited to get to see you and to give you a hug when we get together. This really is, my goal for this women in, the webinar series is really to make those connections. And you are not alone. There are other women facing the same thing that you are, going through the same things. You are not alone. Please reach out. Just again, empowering each other and making that difference. And so with that, if there are no other questions, Corey, do you have anything to add right quick before please make sure that you do fill out the survey. That really does help us give us feedback in order to make these things better. I mean, you are the people that we want to reach. And so give us some feedback.
Absolutely. So that feedback survey is in the chat, as well as we'll be sending out an email following up, just with the survey if you didn't get a chance to fill it out. And with upcoming things that are going on. We're excited to see everybody in a week.
Yes. All right. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for joining us on a Sunday, and I hope you have a great rest of your weekend and happy Monday tomorrow.
Yeah.
All right. Bye, ladies.
Bye.